Just for that, I'm going to turn it over to the ambassador, Pete Johnson.
I'll tell you, it's really hard to follow an act like that.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
You're going to stop with jokes?
What?
Oh, you're all set.
Good morning. Morning, Jake. Good morning, Go ahead.
Hi.
Jake's a little
I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Coffee.
How do you want it cut this morning?
Are you going to do anything? I need one, boy.
He's going to trim us, Pete.
As much as I'd like to have an opportunity to talk about mercy ships, I thought I would talk about something different today. So you think that I'm just not a one-dimensional type person. So, Woody, I'll get you on that ship. We'll get you in the engine room, buddy. You'll be doing fine. You can tell jokes with that big diesel engine. It'll
Probably provide enough energy.
I might add it not, and it might not. A couple guys and I have been studying a book, The Man in the Mirror, and I don't know if anybody's seen that book, but I've just really been having a good time, and I took some liberties to take some stuff out of that book that I thought would be great for us to talk about. And so I want to start off, I want to just ask an easy question. How many guys here are on Facebook? Okay? And, like, how many friends do you have? Like, Jim, how many friends do you have? 500?
No, probably 40, 50.
40 or 50? Who else did I see? Cal, how many friends you have?
Not that many, just people I know.
Okay. Paul, how many you got?
About 60 or 70.
60 or 70. Anybody got more than 100 friends? You got more than 100? See, Jake? Well, yeah. I wanted to talk about that this morning, about friends and about friendship, because the Bible really has a lot to say about friends and what they mean, and especially about men and their friends. The concept of us having friends is one that, we don't like to talk about, because there's so much innuendo, there's so much subtlety about homosexuality, about sexual tendencies and things like that. So we don't like to talk about friends. But in fact, a lot of folks have a lot of friends. After all, Jim's got 50 or 60, Paul's got 70. And I see a lot of really popular guys have a lot of friends. I'll bet you if I was a goalie for the Boston Bruins and I came to church here, I would have a lot of friends. Steve Burton comes here to church. He's got a lot of friends. Everybody wants to be around these prominent and popular guys. But my case is really going to talk a little bit about not friends that you have on Facebook, and not friends that you have that are casual acquaintances. Because I think they are only acquaintances. But after I was reading the book, The Man in the Mirror, it had a section in it that said, the people that you ought to consider your friends to start with are the people who are going to cry at your funeral. Now think about that. Probably out of all the Facebook people that I know, probably one or two are going to be crying at my funeral. It's I think that a friend is somebody who will still be our friend when we get arrested, when we have threats of divorce, when we have a child who's on drugs. Those people that hang in with us then are the ones that are our friends. And there are some really good examples of some friends. And the one, there's Moses and his father-in-law. Remember, they were really good. I don't know how you're friends with your father-in-law, but they were really good friends. Paul and Timothy were really good friends. That was like a junior-senior mentor type relationship. But I don't think any of them tops Jonathan and David. And I don't know if you remember about Jonathan and David, but they were really, really good pals. Even though Jonathan's dad was trying to kill David, they were still friends. And in 1 Samuel 20, it talks about it. It says, Jonathan said to David, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it for you. And in verse 42, he says, Jonathan said to David, go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever. And their friendship even survived the lifetime of Jonathan. Does anybody remember what happened after Jonathan died? I'm sure, Jim, you remember. Tell us what happened. Jonathan had a son, Mephibosheth, who was crippled. And David took him in when he became the king, and he ate at the king's table. So that friendship really survived the lifetime of Jonathan. So I want to ask you, do you have a good friend? Somebody that you can talk to about anything that's going on. And a friend would be there if you're in trouble, or when you need somebody to talk to, or when you're hurting. Actually, somebody sometimes will just listen. I'll tell you, for men it's hard. I remember having some really good friends that I could really talk to in high school. You know, we sort of got in trouble together, and we sort of dated the same girls and all that. And we were really bosom buddies. We talked about anything. But when I got older, that sort of faded away, and I'm not sure. But you know, you get married and you have other relationships and other things go on, but there comes a time in your life when you start thinking about, well, really, I'd like to have somebody that I could talk to. We go through the building time in life with family and friends. There's not a lot of time, and there's not much need. You have a new relationship with a spouse, you have children, there's not much need. But later on, I think you get to a point where you have some similar experiences, and you go through some similar issues in life. And it seems to me that it happens as you get older. Now, I don't know what older is. For sure I'm older, but I don't think Jake is older. He's younger. A couple of young guys here. Rob's one of them. I've discovered that I had real close relationships with the guys that I worked with. And you know, we were good buddies. And they would tell me what happened in the Bruins game last night and that sort of thing. But you know, at 5 o'clock you go home, they go home. That's kind of the end of it. You know, I would never dream of calling a guy that I work with at night and saying, "Gee, my son just got arrested." Or probably I'd want to keep it from him because I would want everybody at work to know what was going on. I also, in talking about this to people, some people say, "Well, you know, my wife is my best friend." And I think that's great. I think when you can say that your wife is your best friend, I think that's very, very good. But I'm also going to say that that's not enough. Because I've seen experiences that people have, guys have, and it seems particularly in midlife, where moral and sexual things become a problem. Pornography, lust, things like those things get embedded, and your wife could be your best friend, but she can't deal with that. It's not, women don't have the ability and the relationship to be able to deal with that. You need another guy to say to you, "Hey pal, you better sort this out." And you need somebody that you're close enough to who can do that. There's a couple of reasons that we don't get involved with friends. And these are my reasons, you might have your reasons, but I'm deathly afraid of rejection. You know, I don't want to say to somebody, "Hey, you want to be my buddy?" And they say, "Hey, no, not really." It just doesn't feel right. Betrayal? No, because if I'm going to really tell somebody what's going on, I don't want them to squeal. Because there's some things I don't want. You know, we all have, I think, some things that we don't want everybody to know. I'm afraid of embarrassment. I'm afraid of hurt feelings. Has anybody had occasion to mistakenly or even purposely betray a friend? Has that ever happened? I know I've done that. James in the Bible talks about how our tongue is like the rudder of a large ship. See, I told you I'd get to mercy ships. If you hang in there, I get to mercy ships. So your tongue is like the rudder of a large ship. And sometimes we say things, and boy, we wish we hadn't said them. But once they're said, the cat's out of the bag. And when we're thinking about somebody who we're going to have as a close friend that we're going to share things with, my picture of that person is that they wouldn't have a mouth, so then they could never say anything about what I said to them. They just have to have a closed mouth. So let me ask you, when things go sour and you really feel lousy, you have a friend you can tell about that? Do you have a friend you can express any honest thought without fear of appearing foolish with them? You can just say anything that's on your mind? Do you have a friend who will talk you through a problem without giving you some advice? Would your friend risk your disapproval and suggest you may be getting off the track in your priorities? Do you have somebody who will say to you, you know what, you're doing the wrong thing here? You have a friend, if you had a moral failure, you know, everybody at one time or another, I think, gets involved in some things that they shouldn't be involved in. But one of them that is very hard for us is moral failure. When you have a moral failure, is there somebody who would stand with you and help you through that? Is there a friend that you feel like you're facing life together with? That's one of the reasons that I think if you're going to have somebody that you're going to confide in, you want it to be somewhere around in your experience level, your level of maturity and involvement in life, because you're going to be sharing things together, and it's going to be a mutual type thing. You have a friend who you can talk over struggles in life which are unique to men, like all the beautiful women in church, all that kind of stuff. When you're vulnerable and transparent with your friend, are you convinced that he won't think less of you? That's one of the things that I treasure, is that when you have somebody like that, you can tell him how you really feel. And even though you know it's stupid, he won't think less of you because of it. You have a friend that you can get together with for fellowship and prayer and maybe some accountability. One of the reasons that I don't that it's such a problem for me in getting involved like this is I don't like this too close for comfort type thing. It's all right if I shake your hand on Sunday morning. It's all right if I call you on the phone during the week and see how you're doing. But I don't want you to really know what I'm thinking. It's just too close. It gets too close. It peels the onion away in a way that I don't want it to happen. I think that we sincerely want to have close friends, but we fear someone getting too close. We worry if somebody really got to know us, they wouldn't like us at all. I think that's the root of it. And as we become closer to someone, because I think we really have a need for that and we want that, there's like a counterforce at work with us that tells us, I don't want to get too close because I don't want him to know what I really think, because I don't want him to betray me, or I don't want to be embarrassed about what I think. You know, it says in Psalms, talking about being betrayed, and I think while nobody's anxious to raise their hand that they said something or that somebody did something to them, I think we've all felt some betrayal and feel like we have betrayed someone somewhere in our life. In Psalm 55:12 it says, if an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were raising himself against me, I could hide from him. But with you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship as we walked with the throng to the house of God, I can't take offense from you. That's what happens with close friends. Few types of emotional pain and cut as much as when a friend fails you. But I do think that trust, transparency, vulnerability are the stuff of which true friendships are constructed. And so I believe that because we have this need, we should take the risk. The price of friendship is personal vulnerability. And I grew up in an environment that I don't want to be vulnerable. It's just, I grew up in Brooklyn. I didn't want to be vulnerable to anybody. And yet, I think that we have the need to do that. If our friend is committed, he'll press us to be transparent. Then it's our move. We can peel back the mask, or we continue to hold out the stiff arm. I'm sort of an expert at the stiff arm. It's not a stiff arm like this, it's a stiff arm like this. And I can keep people away, and I don't mean to, but I think I do that all the time. A friend is there when you need him. That's the advantage of having a friend. Ecclesiastes 4, 9, and 10. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. A friend keeps us on track. Sometimes, I don't know, I don't have a good example, but I think about when I deal with the credit card company and they make a mistake, it's really easy for me to get angry at them. But if I talk to my friend about that beforehand, he'll say, well, you know, let's take this in perspective here. What are we talking about? Why don't you call them on the phone and find out what's going on? Instead of being angry about the thing, let's just calm down a little bit. And I think we need a friend to do that for us. We need somebody who will take the edge off of our anger and steer us in the right direction. A friend helps us to crystallize our thinking. I think sometimes you sit down with somebody and you say something and you express it, and all of a sudden you say, oh yeah, I know it. So a friend will listen. I know one of the funny experiences I had was a guy once said, gee, I really need to get your input on this deal. I really need to get your input. And he came over, and we sat in the living room, and he sat down and he said, hey, how you doing? How's everything with the family? I want to talk to you about this thing. And he talked for about 15 or 20 minutes, and then he said, man alive, thanks for giving me that input. I got to run, but thanks for that input. And I don't think I said anything more to him than hello, and maybe goodbye. But he was really satisfied. I helped to crystallize his thinking, and I think that's what a friend does. He listens. He doesn't tell us what to do. He listens. So I'm going to encourage you today to think about that. It's not like you can go and say, hey Ray, would you be my close friend and we'll reveal ourselves heart to heart? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't happen that way. It happens that you have to build it slowly and carefully, and it takes, we have a sign up above the window in our house that says, it takes a long time to develop old friends. And that's true. You can't have an old friend in a minute. It takes a long time. But I would encourage you today to think about having somebody that you feel that you can call, even at 3 in the morning, who will get in the car and come over to your house and help you out, and you'll never hear any backlash from them, and you'll never hear any grief from them. I would encourage you to have a Christian friend like that to share. Great book. In researching this, I happened to read this, Two Are Better Than One. Great plan for having a person that is your partner, a person that you pray with, that you work with. We have a tendency to want to be rugged individualists. I know particularly I do. Yeah, it's okay. No, it doesn't hurt. I'm okay. No, I'm shaking it off. Don't worry. We're tough and strong, and we don't need anybody. I think I'm learning that you really need to have another person, at least another person, that you can rely on that can be your friend. So I hope that you'll be able to hold that in your prayers, think about doing that, think about having that kind of close friend. So let's pray. Father, we're thankful for today. I pray, Lord, that your Spirit will motivate us to find the person that we can share with, that we can just be candid with and let ourselves down, so that we have a place where we can go and really relax and not be tense. Thank you, Lord, that you do put friends in our way, that we have people that we can rely on in that way. And Lord, I just pray for each man that's here. Bless him today. I pray that you'll just lift them up and help them to have a really enjoyable day, and that they can participate with your Spirit in the things that are happening with them. Thank you for each man here.